for many years. And we're going to hear some things today that probably Carol and I don't know about them as they take us through their backpacking in Asia. Dave's business successes provided him with the opportunity to work in developing countries throughout most of his life. At age 28, David and Flo and his family helped pioneer the United States Peace Corps family program in Ghana, West Africa. After a successful career in business, Dave is currently volunteering as an international business consultant, and he has provided the expertise to introducing entrepreneurship into developing economies. Following early retirement, Dave and Flo fulfilled a lifelong dream of backpacking through Asia. For over a year, they traveled with only a change of clothes and a laptop computer. They lived adventures only previously imagined. Eager to bring his experiences to others, Dave has written about the trials of backpacking in developing areas. His book, Unpaved Roads, is his story of the countries, events and adventures he lived. So please join me in welcoming Dave Wagner as we go through Asia.
This is the hard part.
Wow, I get used to the microphone. I am really honored to be here to speak before you today. You have to excuse the hoarse voice because that's up to the Cardinals, because of the Cardinals themselves. I would like to thank where I'm from? Well, we're kind of hoping the New York Giants were going to make it. But we'll settle for the Cardinals any day. I'd like to thank the Carefree Kiwanis Club for having me speak before you. Inviting me. It's really a great honor for me to speak before you. I want to thank Sue Vanek for that wonderful introduction to us and a former neighbor. I know, can everyone hear me, by the way? Because I can speak up. Cardinals or no Cardinals. I know this is a hard act to follow from the distinguished speakers you've had over the last couple of months, but I really feel you'll enjoy the story we have to tell. And I'm going to say it once again, I am truly honored to speak in front of this group tonight. It's well worth it, man. With that in mind, you'll find our story both interesting and inspirational. And before you go further, I want to introduce my wife, Flo, who's with me 24/7 on this 13-month sojourn through Southeast Asia that took us to over 13 different countries. By the way, I usually don't use notes because I usually speak for like an hour and a half. So I'm really going to condense everything, speak to you about the highlights of this trip and how it started. Briefly, how it started, it was premature retirement through sickness at age getting close to 60, and was not planned at all. It actually started and began with a wanderlust for travel, a wanderlust to be involved with different cultures throughout the world. We had our choices. We knew we had to make a lifestyle change at that point, and what to do, where to do, and over a year and a half of recuperating, we decided that we will liquidate everything we have. We had a home in Scottsdale. We sold our cars. We found a new home for our dog. We divvied out our beloved art collection to friends all over. And we bought a one-way ticket to India. By the way, we did say goodbye to our 4 children and 7 grandchildren at that time, without telling them exactly how long we would be gone, because we didn't really know at that point. All we knew that we were heading for India. And India was almost a mistake, because of all places we wanted to go in Southeast Asia, India was the last, only because of reputation, knowing we've been in the third world before, but how we can handle that mass poverty and so on. So we decided, only through the internet, while we were planning this trip, did I meet a Indian national living in Flint, Michigan in the auto industry, and he landed up actually saying that we could use his home in southern India. We originally wanted, which was a goal of ours, was to start in Nepal and do the Johnson Trail hike. Anyway, we decided, and it turned out to be, ironically, that time of year we were leaving, which was August, that it was in the middle of the monsoon season in Nepal. So we really said, well, we will go to India. We'll back up maybe 10 days. We'll stay in India. We'll wait for the end of the monsoon season and then head for Kathmandu. Ironically, I met this fellow on the internet, on a chat room, offered us his home, and that's how we decided the way we'll start is a one-way ticket to India. So, in one August day, it took us 30 hours, we got to Madras, India. We at an very nice international airport, and we got off at the airport, and what we had to do, we landed up like midnight. 10 a.m. was a flight to Trivandrum, which was the capital of southern India, close to the village that all we had was a name, and we were going to go spend the next 10 days before we left India. We had to walk, I'd say about 2 football fields from the international terminal to the domestic terminal to get to catch a domestic flight for Trivandrum. When we stepped out of that international terminal, it was the shock of our lives. We walked, as I said, 2 football fields over families after families living on cardboard boxes. What happens in India is that you could use public facilities in the evenings, to the railroad stations, airports, you name it, for the poor or the lower caste system to move and live in these areas or stay. It was a shock. By the time we got to the terminal, and we were there at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, I would say there were 12 people waiting. They had a 10 a.m. flight. There was 12 people and 300 rats. And I turned to Flo and I said, we probably have made the biggest mistake of our lives. The second biggest mistake we told when we landed in Trivandrum, and it's a mass of people. We go out, the touts trying to get you into hotels, trying to get you any place you want to go, mass of people greeting everybody, and all I had was the name of a village called Aramula. I had no idea where it was, even though we had a Lonely Planet guidebook, which kind of gave us a rough idea what the distance was. And lucky enough, I said this is probably the second biggest mistake we made in our lives. And then there was a little sign that we saw above the crowd that said, "Welcome, Flo and Dave." And this D.G. George, who was in touch, I never saw her, but spoke on the phone, sent his friends to pick us up. And we didn't realize his friends, the village was 4.5 hours away. So they drove 9 hours to get us. I am going to go fast forward a bit. The area in Aramula where we stayed, we fell in love. We landed up staying in the village where we were 6 weeks. We landed up in India 3 months. Totally fell in love with every aspect of India. Getting to the highlights, we traveled to northern India, to Dharamsala.